My sister's mad I won't watch her nightmare kid, but I didn't expect her to go this far. My 23 female sister 30 female is upset. I babysit my friend's 23 male and 22 female baby over her nightmare kid. How can I get my family to understand that her kid is a nightmare? Throw away so my family doesn't connect this to my main. I'm a 23-year-old child-free woman. I don't know if this is needed for the story. And my sister is 30 with a 4-year-old son. She's a single mom. Ex-husband is not in the picture and has no contact with her or the kid. I'm gonna get straight to the point. That kid is a nightmare to be around. It's not his fault. It's my sister's fault. He very clearly has behavioral and mental health disorders, even at his young age. However, my sister was and is very ableist and refuses to accept that her son has problems. The kid screams bloody murder whenever something doesn't slightly go his way, screams and cries when he's overwhelmed, has meltdowns to certain sounds and textures. Like I said, I don't blame the kid for these issues, but my sister refusing to get him treatment or help makes the kid a nightmare to be around. So, as a result, I don't babysit the kid when my sister asks, more like demands I do so. This causes a lot of fights between us and our family. I have a friend, 23 male, who's married to a wonderful lady age 22, and they have a baby boy together who just turned 1. Yes, they got married and had him young, but it's not my place to judge them. This past weekend they asked me to babysit for them, and I agreed for a few reasons. Their kid is calm, well-behaved, and a general good kid or toddler or baby to be around. I love babysitting him. Also, they asked me nicely and understood that I might say no because I'm child-free. They were polite about their request. A thing about me is that if you ask me to do something politely, even if it's something I wouldn't usually agree to, I'd probably do it because you were nice and polite. So for these reasons, I happily agreed to babysit the boy. My sister also asked me to babysit her son that day so she could have a day to herself, and I refused and told her I was already babysitting for my friends. She was pissed, to say the least. She said a few comments about how I was an ass and not a good sister, but I thought she dropped it after that. This past weekend, while I was watching the baby, my sister started banging on my door. I looked through the window and saw that she had her kid and a care bag with her, and I knew she was trying to drop him off and make me babysit. She was banging on the door, yelling at me and calling me heartless and a baby hater while I was holding a baby. Ironic, and that I better open up and do my sisterly duties. I put the baby in a different room to keep him from getting scared by the noise and told my sister through the window to leave, or I would call the cops. She started cursing for a solid 5 minutes before she finally left. I had the whole thing on my doorbell camera and sent it to the family group chat. Surprisingly, my whole family is on my sister's side. She keeps arguing with me about how I'd rather babysit a kid not even related to me over my nephew. I reminded her that her kid is a nightmare to be around, but she keeps saying that for family you help out. My sister has been cold since and keeps sending me text messages to provoke me into arguing with her more. She's also started saying some pretty ableist and nasty things towards my friend's wife. My friend's wife is on the spectrum and has BPD, and my sister keeps saying that she should have been sterilized and never should have passed her issues to her kid BW. Her kid has shown none of the signs that autistic infants usually show, so I don't know what my sister is on. I will admit that I do feel a bit guilty because I never considered babysitting my nephew, but I jumped at the opportunity to babysit my friend's kid. My sister, dad 66, mom 64, and brother 33 are all calling me an asshole and saying that I'm just using the CF label to avoid family responsibility. I need advice on how to get my family to see my perspective on this. How can I explain to them that the issue isn't the idea of babysitting, but it's the behavior of the kid? Up to Tesso. Shit has hit the fan. My original post was about 3 days ago, and ever since that post, my sister's behavior escalated. I tried to talk to her about getting help for my nephew, and she kept screaming at me every time I brought it up. She said a lot of derogatory terms towards people with mental illnesses and mental disabilities, terms I won't repeat here. That wasn't the only escalation. She was at my door several times a day starting 2 days ago, the day after I made my original post. Banging on my door, screaming, crying, cursing, the works. She brought my nephew each time, and he always looked so confused and defeated. He was too tired to react or melt down like he normally does around loud noises, and it broke my heart to see that on my doorbell camera. I wasn't at my house. I was crashing with my friend and his wife. I took the advice of a commenter who said to put some physical distance between me and my sister. They said I was free to stay as long as I wanted, as long as I helped out with some house chores and childcare while I stayed, which I thought was more than fair. So I'm staying in their guest room currently. I'm still with them, even though my sister isn't much of a problem. Many will be glad to know that my sister won't have parental rights over my nephew soon. She dropped him off at a safe haven site in the middle of the night. Totally a fun phone call to wake up to at 2 in the morning. And my nephew is currently with my parents. Social services placed him with my parents, and he's set to have mandatory therapy. In my state, don't know if it's different in others if a child is abandoned in any way, safe haven or not, a physical and mental health exam is done. Other than being a little bit underweight, my nephew was physically healthy. He wasn't being physically abused like a few people were worried, but it was obvious he needed mental health, so he'll be starting therapy sessions soon, as mandated by a caseworker. We are not looking for my sister. After she dropped her son off, she left. She had quit her job a few weeks back, sold her car, and even her house a few weeks ago and had been renting a place, so this was planned. In my personal opinion, she planned to abandon her son the day I was babysitting my friend's baby, which is why she had such a nuclear reaction. She did leave a note saying she can't do it anymore. She met someone, and that she doesn't want to be a mom to my nephew anymore. In her note, she said she deserves a normal kid and not a burden like my nephew. I seriously hope that my sister doesn't have any more kids with this mystery person she's referencing, but it seems like she's running off to start a new life and family. She still has 30 days to reclaim rights over my nephew, but it doesn't look like she'll do that. Time will tell. Like I said, I'm still with my friends because I was worried my sister would do something. My parents and brother have also been blowing up my phone and coming to my house, switching between apologies and blaming me for this. They think that maybe if I babysat that day, she wouldn't have done this, but I think she wanted me to babysit so she could do this. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister is still their family and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. So, yeah, that's life right now. I'm currently sitting on the couch with my friend's baby while my friend is at work and his wife does a quick grocery run. She was going to take the baby, but I insisted on watching him so she didn't have to hassle with the car seat in the very stormy weather we have in our area right now. This update is all over the place. I feel like I'm rambling. There's still a lot of unknown stuff regarding my sister and nephew, but for now this is the update. I don't know if I'll post more regarding this situation. My friend's wife is telling me I should relax and just not think about anything relating to this until I'm more level-headed, but I don't think that's possible. Update 12. I be the asshole for forgiving but not forgetting my family for blaming me for what my sister did. My sister abandoned her 5-year-old son a little less than 2 weeks ago and fled. Police are looking for her, but she hasn't been found yet. My nephew is with my parents and is in therapy. When that first happened, my parents were quick to blame me because I had refused to babysit the kid in the past. And the weekend before, my sister ultimately abandoned him. They think had I babysat him that day, she wouldn't have fled. I've been staying with my friends since then, and oh my god, it's chill here. They're young parents with a baby, and yet it's chill here. Everyone is happy. They talk things out when there are issues. They work together. I've met both parents of my friends, and they're nice and polite. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I have seen some bickering and they always find a way to resolve it. Growing up, my parents always argued a lot. My siblings were always loud and cruel to each other at times, and there always had to be someone to blame. If you were the person who was blamed, you were insulted and shunned for a while, then they would apologize. You were always expected to forgive and forget. My parents are trying to apologize to me about their blowout at me regarding my sister, and I can understand their initial feelings. I'm willing to forgive, but I know my family will also expect me to forget. But I can't forget. I don't think I can forget this whole situation. So I'm wondering if I would be the asshole if I chose to forgive them, but refuse to forget this whole thing?